Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us for this online GM workshop. My name is Liz Tice, and I'm the business manager for Lone Wolf Development, as well as the moderator for this event. I have two very special guests with me today to give Hero Lab and Syrinscape tutorials, as well as pro tips for GMs. But before I introduce them, I want to remind our viewers that we'll be doing a Q&A in the last 15 to 20 minutes or so of the event. So please ask your questions through the question app in Google Hangouts or in the YouTube comments. I encourage you to submit the questions throughout the seminar, because if there's a chance for me to have a relevant question for one of our guests during the seminar, I may ask our guests right then and there instead of waiting until the Q&A portion. So speaking of our special guests for this workshop, let me first introduce Colin Mcalister. Colin is the lead developer for Hero Lab and will be discussing the basics of GMing with Hero Lab using Hero Lab's tactical console, getting the most from the bestiaries with the Hero Lab Encounter Builder, and GMing Rise of the Rune Lords with the Encounter Library. Our second guest is Benjamin Looms. He's the creator of Syrinscape, and we'll be discussing the basics of GMing with Syrinscape, navigating the Syrinscape control panel, incorporating Syrinscape sound into tabletop role-playing, and Syrinscape's adventure paths and one-shot sound effects. Thank you both for being here. So, Colin, why don't you start us off and tell everyone how Hero Lab can be used by GMs to enhance their games?
Hi there. Yes, I will be glad to. Hello, everyone. My name is Colin Mcalister. I'm the lead developer of Hero Lab with Lone Wolf Development. And like Liz said, today I'd like to show you the many ways in which Hero Lab will make your job as a GM easier. Let's see. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen here, so you'll have something more interesting to look at than me. There we go. All right, so that looks like it's coming through. Okay, so the basics of Hero Lab. Hero Lab is a character creator for Pathfinder and a number of other games. If you haven't had experience with it yet, it lets you build characters and NPCs, add levels to them, play them during the game. We've got Windows, Mac, and desktop apps. We come with all of the core rulebook content, plus some additional things like some additional races, player adventure path data, and we also have add-on packs for other books like the Advanced Player's Guide, Advanced Class Guide, Bestiaries, Player Companions. We do our best to try and get those, get all that stuff released at the same time as the actual physical books come out in Pathfinder. So we are, so we have the data available at the same time that that you can buy it at the store, or you get it delivered from Paizo. I'm going to show you for just a minute the basics of what Hero Lab can do. I've got a cleric, just a regular player character here. So on the Hero Lab has different tabs. Each tab has different things on it that are relevant to that part of the character. So on the cleric tab, I can go and look at my spells, my cleric domains. On the feats tab, I can see my feats. I can go and add new feats, and I can say, okay, instead of showing me only the full 2,000 feats, I can show only the few hundred feats that are relevant for this character. Then what's really cool is that after a game, I can add experience on the journal tab, and then on the in-play tab, I can keep track of my hit points, damage that I've taken, I can rest, special abilities that I've used. Everything like that that's all stuff that Hero Lab tracks for you, because keeping track of that during the game, it's a pain. You want to be playing, whether you're the player or the GM. You want to be playing, and you don't want to be keeping track of all that stuff yourself. We also have full information for a bunch of things, including skills, feats. So Hero Lab, we want to have all the information there for you, GM or player, so that you can use it during the game rather than having to flip through the books. So that's the very basics of Hero Lab. If I encourage you, if you haven't checked it out already, grab our free demo or our iPad app. So this has been a player character that I've been showing here, but as well as players, Hero Lab can also build NPCs. So let me go and create a new hero. Normally when I create a character, I would need to specify a starting level and choose how to limit my character. But if I'm creating an NPC as a GM, I can basically do whatever I like. So I can say, all right, let's give this NPC 10,000 gold, because that seems like a reasonable amount to start off with. I can add as many class levels as I want. So I can say, okay, this guy is going to be a level 9 barbarian, and Hero Lab will automatically fill in the default hit points for me if I want. It'll automatically choose favorite class bonuses. From there, I've got 2 ability score bonus increases that I can add here. And then I can basically go through the character creation just like I would for a player, with by selecting a race on the background tab, by selecting rage powers on the barbarian tab, by selecting skills and feats. One really powerful thing that Hero Lab can do is that you can choose to add custom magic items. So I've got my 10,000 gold. I can go here and add a +1 dagger for the character. Hero Lab's going to calculate the cost for that automatically, and once I add it, it'll subtract it from my character's cost. And then I can also mouse over this gear value item here, and it'll show me not just how much gear I have, but also the total amount that I should have for this level. And that's just a guideline. So right now we have our 2,300 gold piece weapon out of our 7,800, but you're free to spend as much or as little as you like on weapons. Hero Lab just helps you keep track of that and make sure that at least you know what the limits are that you should be obeying. You're totally free to break them, just like with a lot of things in Hero Lab. You can do whatever you like that is outside the rules. You can add too many feats, too many skill points. Hero Lab will usually warn you that you're doing something that isn't allowed, but you can do it as long as you have permission from the GM. In this case, you are the GM, so you have permission by default, so go wild. So as well as making NPCs, Hero Lab also lets you take NPCs from existing sources. There are a number of, hundreds, I think thousands of NPCs available in the books that Paizo has been releasing over the last few years. And what we can do in Hero Lab is we can show all those NPCs within the encounter builder. Each NPC is listed here in order of challenge rating, from the ones at the start, like the bat, the lizard, the platypus from books like Animal Archive and the Bestiary, all the way down to the other end of the list, where we have Tarask armies. If we go back up a little bit, then we're going to see CR15 storm giants and adult time dragons. All of those are basically, if it's been released by Paizo for Pathfinder, Hero Lab has it in the encounter builder. And you can, as you purchase content for Hero Lab, as you add the bestiaries and the campaign setting books, you'll be able to see more and more things appear here. We also have a bunch of free content available. For example, all the NPCs from the NPC Codex, from the Game Mastery Guide, from the NPC Guide. Those are all available even if you just have the Hero Lab, the basic Pathfinder stuff. So even if you just kind of, the first day that you buy Hero Lab, you still have hundreds of NPCs and monsters that are available to use in your games. So as well as seeing this full list, I can look at the stat block for any of these NPCs. I can see how much experience they're worth, hit points, armor class, damage resistance and immunities, the weapons that we're armed with, and the ability scores, special abilities. I can see these for any monster or NPC shown within the encounter builder. Not only that, I can search. So let's say that I want to I don't want to see, seeing all of the monsters at once. That's probably not that useful. So I can restrict it to only, let's say, CR3 to CR5 monsters. So that's shrunk it down a bit. Let's say I'm doing a desert adventure. I can also search as well. So I can search for any character whose stat block mentions the word desert. All right, now I've got a relatively small list of monsters that I can use, and I can look through this smaller list. I can start by adding a couple of Flynns, for example, as cannon fodder for the PCs. So as well as letting you keep track of monsters and adding whichever ones you want, for Pathfinder, Hero Lab also keeps track of the current challenge rating of the encounter, as well as the average party level of any allies that you have. Player characters rather, that you have during loaded into Hero Lab. So our current APL is 9. We've got 2 characters. I'm going to make this a little more of a challenging encounter. So I'm going to say that the target for this encounter is a CR10. So the encounter budget is 8,000 XP. Let me go down towards the bottom of this list. Yeah, maybe we'll want some Sagwaroi. I believe those are cactus people. An Omoth from the Tome of Horrors. As I add more content, the encounter budget goes down. We get closer, and we get closer to the CR that we want. So I think a couple of Scorpion folk. Great. So now we have an encounter of seven monsters, and that's used up all the budget for the encounter. I can, with just one click, I can import this. Once I've imported it, one of the really cool things, another of the really cool things is that Hero Lab treats monsters and NPCs just like it does player characters. So these two Flynns, for example, let's say, okay, this is a CR10 encounter, but the Flynns they're only CR3, so maybe they'll have trouble fighting your attacking and damaging the actual player characters that they'll be facing. That's fine, because in Hero Lab I can say, let's add 3 fighter levels to the Flynns, for example. I can then I'll have to enter their hit points. As I've added these levels, the Flynns, their attack bonus goes up, their saving throws go up. I can go to the new fighter tab and add bonus feats, and when I get to the right level, I can add weapon training. And all those abilities are totally changeable within Hero Lab. As well as adding new skills, feats, I can customize their equipment, change the weapons and armor that they have, give them magic weapons and armor. And just like with players, I can go to the In-Play tab and track hit points, how many, if they've got their power attack feat enabled, automatically apply and unapply those bonuses, add conditions, and anything else. So if a character has spells to cast, there will be a spells tab that you can use, for example. In fact, maybe that Flynn number 2, he is actually let's see, he could actually be a psychic from the Occult Adventures playtest. Occult Adventures playtest, incidentally, is free in Hero Lab until the book releases at Gen Con. So you can try that out today as well. So once I have my psychic, I can go to the psychic tab and I can add a few spells. Just add a few level 0 spells, level 1 spells here. Once I do that, there's now a spells tab that I can go to. I can keep track of how many spells the NPC has cast, how many are unlimited uses because they're cantrips. So just like with characters, I can customize everything and see all these, see everything, see the status of everything, which conditions, how many things I have left to use, abilities for the character. As I'm doing this, everything that I need to see to keep track of my character, of my NPCs, is shown here in the dashboard on the right of the screen. So for every character, you've got your hit points, you've got your armor class. I can mouse over these info buttons to show attack bonus, the armor class, the CMB, and CMD. So you can see all of the information that you need just at a glance here in the dashboard, and switching between characters is as simple as just clicking the switch character button. As well as seeing information about all of the NPCs during an encounter, it would be really cool if Hero Lab let you actually run that encounter during the game, right? The good news is that Hero Lab's tactical console is designed exactly for that. The tactical console, when you start it up, you are out of combat, so we're showing the out of combat view. What that means is that every NPC and every player character is shown here with their basic information: hit points, armor class, saving throws, perception, skills. The enemies are displayed first, players are displayed second. Any art that was included for the monsters is included here as well. So the Omoth, we've got this kind of weird scorpion-looking thing, I guess, for the art. The cactus dude, he has his cactus person art there. Makes it easier for you to keep track of everything during the encounter. Just like on the dashboard, these info buttons, I can mouse over these to see any other details that aren't shown on the actual character view here. And out of combat, I have all of the skills all of the regular skills for the character are shown there. Then any others, I believe, you can switch to a character. So I can go here and go to the skills tab and see what skills the Omoth has, or just use the summary panel here. Back in the tactical console, I can, if I need to change a character very quickly, I can use the manage view here. And what that lets me do is add and subtract hit points, track resources and abilities. So let's say that this guy has actually used this already today. I can keep track of that within Hero Lab, apply any bonuses or penalties from charging, flanking, any conditions from being blinded, add any notes for the character. All of that is available through the Manage view here. That's what things look like out of combat. In combat, I can start a new combat here. Hero Lab will roll initiative for everything for you automatically, but you're totally free to change that. So let's say that your players probably want to roll initiative themselves. So let's say Kyra's player, he actually rolled a 13, and this other player over here, he ended up rolling a 15. Once I've entered those, I can resort these, and I can put them into the order that they should be in. Maybe I want to kind of have things be more dramatic. So maybe I think, it would be nicer if this guy's pretty powerful. It would be nicer if one of the characters got a chance to go before he did. So I can move him down the initiative order, and Hero Lab will automatically just adjust the initiative to fit. We also show you who is flat-footed. You can see that these characters, because they haven't gone yet, they're showing their flat-footed armor class. You can track which characters have acted yet. So I can go through the list here with each character acting in turn. Hero Lab also supports delaying and readying your action. So I can delay an action, then Kyra goes, and now I can use my delayed action. Hero Lab is going to keep track of what your initiative should be and then change it after you've delayed your action. That's your new initiative then. The GM's also, let's say that Kyra's player does something fantastically heroic, and the GM thinks that, hey, the Kyra should get a bonus, or her initiative score should change, or something similar. You can apply that from within here. So at any point during the combat, you know what? Kyra's initiative score is now 19, and I can resort, and now Kyra is going to be third in the initiative order. Let's see, I can go through different rounds of the combat as I do. Let's just finish off here. The next round, everybody goes back to having acted again. Once the combat is over, in the dashboard here, I can see how much XP I should award to the players, and then I can also go to the portfolio menu and delete all enemies at once. And so Hero Lab will just automatically clear out all the enemies, leave only the player characters for me to see, and then I can go on to the next encounter. So one of the really cool things that we've added recently has been the encounter library. In the encounter library, we have so far we have Rise of the Runelords and Iron Gods, all of the content available for those adventure paths. So looking at Rise of the Runelords, for example, I can scroll through the different chapters, the different parts of Rise of the Runelords. For any encounter, I can click on this and see who's in the encounter, how many creatures, and just like the encounter builder, I can see the stat blocks for those encounters as well. Let's go down to a little more interesting one through here. If there are images for the encounter from either the adventure path or the bestiary, we include those as well. Here's a good one. For example, we've got 3 dire bears and 2 stone giants. I can customize these as much as I want. So I can say, okay, the players are actually a bit over leveled for this encounter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this. I'm going to add an additional dire bear, and that'll just make things a little trickier for them. Once I go to import that, Hero Lab, just like with the encounter builder, Hero Lab imports all of those, and again, I can customize those however I like. Any spells that are listed as precast are already applied. All of those things that you need are right there, and you can just use them to start the encounter. Once I go to the encounter library again, Hero Lab remembers where I was, so I can go into the next encounter or the next room or anything like that. So that's the encounter builder. You can search it by room. You can just scroll through it and see what all the encounters are. It's a great accompaniment to the actual adventure path. That's the. Liz, go ahead.
Go ahead.
That's the basics of what Hero Lab can do for GMs. I've kind of shown a small peek into a lot of different things. But with Hero Lab, you can make and advance Pathfinder characters and NPCs, keep track of your hit points and special abilities during the game on Windows, Mac, and iPad, use the Encounter Builder to help create encounters for your adventures, use the technical console to run those encounters, and just in the last few weeks, we've released the Rise of the Rune Lords and Iron Gods for the Encounter Library. Giant Slayer will also soon be available. So that's Hero Lab. Please check out our free demo and our iPad app on the App Store.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Colin. If someone wants to learn more about Hero Lab, where can they go?
Where's my mouse? There it is. You can find Hero Lab on our website at getherolab.com. We have a free demo of the Windows and Mac app there. You can also search for Hero Lab on the App Store and download it for your iPad. We include a bunch of sample characters so that you can try them out during the game.
Fantastic. Before I hand things over to Ben, I'm just going to do a friendly reminder. If you have any questions about Hero Lab or Syrinscape, please submit them via the Questions app in Google Hangouts or in the YouTube comments or on our Google Plus page. I'm checking all of them, so go ask questions. We'll answer as many as we can at the end of this workshop. Alrighty, so I'm going to hand things over to Ben so that he can tell us about Syrinscape and the realistic atmosphere that GMs can create with this app.
Hello, everyone. I'm just reeling slightly, Colin, by the amazing awesomeness that is Hero Lab and several large chunks of features that I didn't know about, which would make life really, really easy at my table. So, wow, unbelievable. And being quite familiar with how incredibly complicated it is to develop software and how expensive it is, I'm amazed, frankly, and impressed and very thrilled. Fantastic. So we're assuming that people know what Syrinscape is. It makes, just really quickly, it makes fantastic dynamic, non-repeating sound for your tabletop games that's not distracting, that doesn't take the attention of the GM away from the players. And I'm just going to talk through sort of, what you'd actually do at the table and before the game to actually set up Syrinscape completely and ready to go to be awesome. So the first thing you're going to do is download the app, which you can do on a PC or a Mac or on a tablet like an Android tablet or an iPad, or now, as of last week, yay, on phones, which is really, really great. The Android phone version is out, and as soon as Apple approves our build for the Apple, then it'll be out on iPhone and also on iPads and all those things. It's already out on iPads. And there's lots of improvements with this latest version. One of the biggest ones was putting the titles under all the one-shots so that you can actually see what they are rather than have to memorize my slightly obscure symbols and on those little coins. Cool. So you've got the app downloaded, you've created an account, you've either subscribed, which unlocks absolutely everything. You own permanently everything that comes out while you're a subscriber, and then everything in the back catalog unlocks as well, so you can use. You've got that all going and ready. Speakers is a really, really important thing. So your choice is, so we're going probably a speaker at least this big, okay? Slightly bigger than Ben's head. You want to spend at least $100, maybe $150 on a speaker that has quite a lot of beautiful clarity and a big chunk of bass, so that you can really, really hear all those sort of visceral crashes and dragon roars and things. A really important thing when you're choosing speakers is to go to the shop and to listen to multiple speakers, and most especially with a song or some sort of recording that you know well and really, really love. Be aware also that speaker salesmen will always turn speakers up really, really loud, because things always sound better when they're really, really loud. So, so listen to them at various different volumes, but also be aware that in a big store, big department store, often there's a lot of background noise, and so things might get a bit drowned out if they're smaller. The thing that I would most use if I didn't have my surround system going is this. This is a Marley sound system. It's absolutely gorgeous. It was about $300 or $400. It's Bluetooth and rechargeable and wireless, so I can take this to a game and just stick this on the table. It absolutely punches the biggest, amazing bassy boost you could possibly desire. You're not going to want anything bigger than this for your gaming table. What I do when I'm at home in my own gaming room is I plug via HDMI, either from the iPad or from from the PCs or the Mac into my surround system, and make sure you set the surround selection on the Syrinscape speakers to 7.1 or 5.1 or whatever it is you've got, so that when Syrinscape's dynamically positioning those roars sort of in complete 3D, they're coming out of the rear speaker or out of the front or the middle or whatever, all completely surrounding the players. With speaker setup, you're going to make sure that the speaker is somewhat equidistant to each of the players. So sound attenuates by about half for each doubling in distance. So that if your speaker is really, really close to one player, it's going to be really, really loud for them. And if the other player is 3 times further away, it's going to actually be 3 times softer. So a speaker that's kind of sitting about 6 feet away from the players or 10 feet away from the players is going to give a general room wash that's bouncing around the room and making things feel reasonably even. So not sitting right next to you. If you're a player and you're bringing the fantastic PC sound sets, which I'll talk about later, you can bring something about this big. Or, in fact, the speakers on the latest iPad are so unbelievably loud, and they use sort of body resonance or some sort of Apple magic to create an incredible amount of sound. So I've had players just using the iPad speakers themselves. But say you've got something like this, a little rechargeable Bluetooth speaker. Again, this will be available on the Zazzle store soon, which we're going to launch, and it has like Syrinscape art and stuff on it. Anyway, very, very cool. If you don't know what the PC sound sets are, check out the Kyra sound set, which is available in the public. We had a release with Free RPG Day of like all these amazing spells for Ezran and all this really cool stuff, which I'll show you a little bit of later. So you've done that. So you've got your setup and everything all going. You boot up Syrinscape, and I'm going to try and do the screen share thing. Good. So bye, everyone. Ding. Yay, there's Syrinscape. Fantastic. So you've got that all going. I'm ready to play. You have a look down this list of all this content that you've got. Make sure you download things before the game, because there's quite a lot of content, and I'm like going, oh my gosh, how am I meant to manage all this stuff? There's so much. Like, you don't want to be searching through all this stuff while you're playing. That's just a bit crazy. So instead of doing that, because that would just be mad, what we're going to do instead is pop onto the website to the campaign manager. Bing, yay, there we are. And here we can actually set up sort of custom orderings of the sound sets as they sit in that left-hand column. And I've gone ahead and set up one for my Tuesday night game, which has just got the sound sets that I'm planning on using. Of course, you can always jump back to that main listing and actually find something quickly if you need to. So now we go back to Syrinscape. We've chosen a few different campaigns to go, and I'm going to go Tuesday night game. Oh, that's much better. Much more relaxing. Okay, so I've got my Brindletown setting, or you can use the lovely Sandpoint sound at the beginning of Rise of the Runelords and Burnt Offerings if you like. We come to the table. We're all ready to play. We just click that one little clicky click thing, and Syrinscape will just spin into motion in quite a subtle little background festival morning type ambiance. A cart going past every now and then, a dog woofing, and that's it. Syrinscape, you don't have to do anything at all. Okay, you don't have to be watching it. Just that single click, and it will take care of itself. All the sounds are automatically triggered and quite subtle. When you are ready for the red dragon to attack for some apparent reason, you just bring it up while you're still talking. You're GMing, saying blah blah blah. It's a lovely morning. Nothing could possibly go wrong except oh no. And the red dragon attacks! Ah! And it just, once again, Syrinscape takes care of itself. Some dramatic music has started. The red dragon's roaring. Everything is like going horribly wrong, and you're flambeing your players, which is really, really cool. And of course, over here you should probably know that you've got some one-shot, so you can set off individual red dragon roars. Oh yeah! And breath. You can see down the bottom there, at the bottom right, there's some shortcuts where you can actually just hit the key that you need to set off that individual scream. So if I hit number 7, yeah, then you get various different sounds. So that's all cool. So, the dragon's roaring, when the near end of the battle's coming, we just click over to that just while someone else is rolling a dice or whatever. And when you're ready to stop, you just click Festival Warning, and Syrinscape will crossfade gently and softly over to that. So the whole point of the thing is to have sort of minimal input from the GM. I was in the situation where I was trying to set off sounds and run things and juggle playlists and all those sorts of things. Depending on the type of game you have, you might pull out a Wilhelm scream, woohoo! Or maybe like if something awesome happens, you go Final Fanfare. Yay! You won the battle. Now, other things that people might know, which is this is kind of comes to the actual pro tips of why we're doing this whole thing, is you can actually do custom mixes. So say we've got the dragon going. We go back to the dragon. We set it off. Dragon fire. Excellent. Good. Now, there's a fantastic sound set called Storm, with which we can add some heavy rain. Excellent. A bit more rain. Excellent. And some lightning strikes. Yeah. Excellent. So not only are you burning your players, you're also flambeing them and wetting them as well, which doesn't really work, does it? Then we hit plus, and we go dragon. Whoops. Typing the wrong thing. Dragon in a storm. A strom. The dragon in a strom. Okay, good, and that now becomes a preset, just like all the others. So we've got the Peaceful Morning again, and then when we're ready, we just touch that dragon in the storm. Or maybe we're over in the storm sunset, and we go, hi to the storm's gathering. Oh no, it's really dreadful, we're all wet. And also there's a dragon. So that's the presets. You can actually mix together as many of the elements from different sound sets all together in the one sound set and have it available. You can, of course, also really usefully organize these. So sometimes when I'm running a sequence that I know, like one of the Pathfinder specials or whatever, I'll actually set up a whole lot of these presets in a row, and I can actually just sort of step through them one by one, and then of course you can delete them and all that sort of stuff. Gooey. Good. Now that's if you're just running your own campaign. If you're running, say, Rise of the Rune Lords, then we also have done similar to what Hero Lab have done. The preparation is the big sort of bugbear for us. People who have a life and also want a game like all the time. So here we've gone through, we've got a license with Python, we've gone through and we've I've created all the official sounds for the actual adventure in order required. So while you're playing the module, you're coming to the entrance ramp in Sins of the Jin Shalas, I can't even remember what it's called. Jin Shalas, and that just sets off and blah 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 blah. You get to the pinnacle, you hit that. Once again, just single touches, plus the required one-shots that you might have, like this one.
And so the fools have done. I must applaud your tenacity. You are not moved.
If you need to stop Syrinscape suddenly because the doorbell rings or something, then you hit that pause button and it stops instantly. So that's the GM. What we can now also do, how long have I got? Yeah, a little bit longer. Is we can now have the PC sunsets. Kyra is available already, and then the other three PC sunsets will be coming out once the free RPG Day exclusive period ends, so just wait for those. Everyone who's either a Super Siren or a Fantasy subscriber will get these activating instantly, or people can, of course, buy them on the store. And the idea is actually that the players now have these on their own devices. As a GM, sometimes it's really, really hard to find the right spell or to sort of be searching through between things. So once you've got that player set up with their iPad with its super loud speakers or one of those little Bluetooth sort of speakers, they're sitting there they're playing Kyra, and they're wanting to punctuate maybe their role playing with some of the special voice acting. Or there's a whole lot of generic spells here. If she casts a first level spell. I'm sorry about the sound quality. The sound quality sounds so lovely in my room, but down the Google Hangouts tube it gets rather mangled. Each of these generic spells gets more and more awesome. Fantastic. Plus some of the specific spells, some of the really important spells, including Bull Strength, which is of course called Divine Strength due to OGL licensing reasons. With the sound of a bull, of course. Cure light wounds, cure moderate wounds, cure serious wounds, all those things ready. So the player, say the player's playing Ezran, I really love this. What you do is you get ready with your, say, Burning Palms. I can't imagine what spell that's referring to. And they click one of the incantations. Oh, I love it so much! I love it so much! So if you want to use those incantations of Ezra and sort of pulling together arcane forces with the very secret special words which you can almost listen to, then you can use some of the incantations there, and then you can set off some of the special effects. And of course, yeah, there's, once again, with Ezra, there's generic sounds. With Mauricio for the players, there's There's all sorts of really, really cool weapon sounds like unsheathing. Ha ha ha. Then some slashes. And once again, there's shortcut keys you can see down the bottom there, which they can use on a PC or if they have a keyboard on their device. Plus, you'll notice that each of these one-shots isn't just one recording that repeats like slight annoyingly every single time the same way, but it's like multiple ones randomly chosen. Have a listen. Oh yeah, the sound of blood dribbling out of someone's head. I love this one shot. How cool is that graphic? Yay! So that's pretty much how to use it. The other things you can do, which is really, really cool, with these campaigns over here, what people now are doing is creating campaigns for specific adventures that we haven't supported yet. So I'm going to stop this and say hello again. So for adventures, modules that like Dungeons & Dragons modules, things in the sci-fi play, you can actually go on the website and you can now share your campaign that you've built. So on our forum, people are sort of setting up these left-hand column setups with the perfect preparation for a particular module or a particular genre, so sort of spaceship battle attacked by aliens. And people are organizing those and making them ready for play so that the preparation level for the GM is going right down. I think I've probably covered most of the things I want to cover, Liz. If you have any questions, it's hard to know, isn't it, Colin, what you assume people know because you're so familiar with the app yourself.
Yeah, I do have actually a question from someone about Syrinscape specifically, so I can just go right into it, especially since it's related to what you were talking about. So Vin Verrazano is curious what's involved with making a custom sound set for a character that uses sounds that are multiple other sound sets. So is it possible to piecemeal a new sound set from others that are already owned?
That's right. I mean, as we said, showing those custom moods, you can already combine all the different elements from one character or another. You can sort of pull together different elements from the storm, or so you could make a counter which has some of the goblin sounds running and some of the dragon sounds running and some of the storm sounds, and then save those as a custom mood. What you can't do in the player is pull together these one-shots into any sort of order. The one-shots, I think you're looking at the screenshot, which you can't pull together the one-shots on the right-hand side into any sort of order. But what we have in beta at the moment is the sound set creator, which will allow people full access and full customizability. So what I have when I'm making a sound set is the ability to import samples, to set all the parameters of the way those samples behave. So you can set the distance that they're allowed to appear. So maybe they appear up to 1 meter close and up to 50 meters away, or maybe they're appearing 40 meters to 50 meters away, and in which direction in the surround spectrum, which is really cool. So maybe you can set up a one-shot, which is just a roar in that rear speaker, which will really freak everyone out and make them want to go back to town and become florists. And you can set all the parameters, including the timing parameters and the volume and all that. So that's the Soundset Creator, which we've been working with a fantastic bunch of beta testers at the moment, and we're just about getting to the point where we've got a version where you'll be able to do that. You'll be able to pull in all the different one-shots from the different PCs and then make that into your own custom version of the content, and then upload that to the server, and that becomes content that you own and you can sync across all your devices. So that's something we're really, really excited about. And I've been using the Creator for a long time to build all the content, so it'll be great to get that into the hands of the users. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, Vin, if there's something that Ben didn't answer, feel free to post again or ask in the questions app within Google Hangout. So I also have another question from Tracy. She is curious when Hero Lab is going to be available for Android.
You remember this one, right, Ben? From the last thing that we were on, we had so we don't have a good answer for that yet, unfortunately. It took us, I think, about a year or a year and a half to get Hero Lab onto the iPad, and so we're trying to figure out a way of doing Hero Lab on Android without spending a year and a half doing that and then nothing else, because that would mean spending a year and a half getting nothing done other than getting it on Android. We'd really love to have it on Android, because we know that there are a lot of our users out there who use Hero Lab, who use Android devices and who have Hero Lab. Unfortunately, it's just not something we've been able to make happen yet. So we've had we're looking at, there are a number of things that we're looking at that will hopefully be able to let you use Hero Lab on an Android device. So even if we don't actually have an Android app, we'll hopefully have something for you sooner rather than later. But that's the best answer I can give you right now. Sorry. Okay, it looks like Liz has dropped again. So next question. In Hero Lab, there's an option to add NPCs based on sourcebook and ID/SKU. Can someone explain how to make that work, since it doesn't appear to recognize books I'm testing it with? I'm not 100% sure what you mean by that. I'm going to assume that you're talking about the encounter builder. Well, okay, so there's two parts. Let me switch back to Hero Lab again here real quick. Sorry, I have to rearrange my screen here. So yes, feel free to clarify the question, and I will do my best to answer that. So in Hero Lab, for NPCs, you can select which NPC, which sourcebook the NPC came from. So we use that to display, okay, the dire bear is from the bestiary. You can also enter the SKU there for your own NPCs. In the encounter builder, the sourcebook for every character is shown with that character. So, for example, the bat is from the bestiary. The Archaeopteryx is from the bestiary 4. If we go down further, the murderous halfling is from the fighters from the NPC Codex. So, if you're looking to add characters from specific sourcebooks, all you need to do in the encounter builder is say, okay, I want entries from the NPC, or I want characters from the NPC Codex. So now it's got 340 characters from the NPC Codex. We have them arranged in like adepts, commoners, aristocrats, and so on. But it's just it's really a sourcebook like. I'm sorry, it's really a search like anything else. So I can search for things in the NPC Codex, just like I can search for rangers, and it'll show me all of the ranger characters. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, please let us know, and we will do our best to clarify. Let me just add one other thing as well. If you're curious about stuff Hero Lab can do, we've been doing our best to kind of make this stuff more accessible, but basically open up the Game Master menu and check things out, because we've got the encounter builder, that you can go and just play around with. We've got the encounter library, we've got the technical console, as well as you can learn more about Game Master tools, and that'll just tell you a bit about each of those items. So that's really, if there's stuff that you're curious about with Hero Lab and you're a Game Master, the Game Master menu there, check that out, because that might uncover some things that you weren't familiar with before, and you can then use them, or you can find out more about them elsewhere in the program.
Fantastic. So I have another question for you, Ben. So I know you're a GM. I saw you GMing a ton of games at PaizoCon. So as a GM yourself, what is your favorite feature in Syrinscape, or your favorite sound set?
Oh, wow. Yes. I mean, I literally made Syrinscape just to be specifically what I needed. So it's probably the most important feature is the ability to just click and to let it go, because that was the situation I was in, was wanting to do this amazing movie-like soundtrack kind of thing, and taking attention away from the players. So yes, it's that single click. Definitely my favorite sound set is either the Red Dragon, which I showed you before, which I love in particular because those epically massive dragon roars, which you can hear on a demo video if they were sounding too bad coming through the speakers. Those dragon roars are sourced. Those particular ones are from my own voice. Literally going to a microphone and going, and then just doing the coolest, most amazing processing and pitch shifting and stretching and morphing and all this stuff. And I just love how massively butch and powerful that dragon sounds, and how hilariously not like that I am. But if I had to choose another one, I reckon probably my favorite sound set is the Growl farm sound set from Hook Mountain Massacre. Just because I've got these, the Paizo guys wrote these fantastic hillbilly ogres who are so gross and fun and sort of, and it's really, really beautifully atmospheric encounter. But most of all, because it has this particular one shot, which when I'm doing a con, I totally adore, because the kids just come and totally spam on it all the time. So, yeah, I just love the look of I love the look of kids' faces when they come and they sort of just go, is mum watching? And there are burps and farts. I was filling in the rating info on our next submission of the app to the App Store, and it had just the ratings. They did a more detailed rating thing, and you had to actually say whether there was crude humor. It's like, yes, definitely. Are there audible farts? Yes. It's like, I can't believe I'm getting to say yes. So yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. So Colin, I heard a rumor you're also a GM, specifically for Pathfinder as well. So what is your favorite feature in Hero Lab for when you're behind the GM screen?
So two of them that I really love, and one of them, so two of them that I really love are just the encounter builder and the tactical console. The encounter builder, we were actually building that when I was in the middle of creating an adventure, and before then, what I'd basically been doing is to build my encounters was I went to D20 PFSRD, because that had a big list of all of the monsters by CR, and I just kind of looked through it and picked out some monsters that looked interesting, and then I had to find those in Hero Lab and import them, and it all worked, but it was just a pain. With the encounter builder, it's just so much better, because I can select the CR range that I want to use for the encounter. Hero Lab will calculate it all, tell me whether this is going to be an easy or a hard encounter for my players. I can look at the stat blocks. I can search for things that I haven't thought of. And that's really cool, because that lets me, if I just search for forest or something like that, or even if I'm just looking through, okay, the players. I need a CR10 encounter. What would be cool? I can discover a bunch of stuff in the encounter builder that I just wouldn't have thought of, and just see, oh hey, that's a cool picture. Let me look at that. And then once I have those, the tactical console, just not having to keep track of initiative and scroll it down on paper. The group that I play with, it ranges from anywhere from like 5 to like 8 or 9 or 10 players. So not having to keep track of 8 or 9 or 10 players' initiatives and the 5 or 6 or 7 monsters they're fighting, and then people delay their action and want to know who goes next. That's just a huge help not to have to worry about that during a game.
Fantastic, thank you. Ben, we have a question from Michael T. Tokarski, I think is how you say his name. So thank you for submitting a question, Michael. Everyone else, please submit any questions you have. So he's wondering, how practical is it to use Syrinscape in an online game?
Yeah, cool, easy. So what you got to do for these sorts of questions is go to the forum, which I shall share. Where are we? Google Chrome. Excellent. Share. I'm so talented at this. Excellent. So here's our forum. There's actually a fantastic community here on the forum who are answering more and more of the questions that I'm perfectly happy on support@sirenscape.com to answer questions, but they're getting more and more supported here and answered really, really quickly, especially if I'm asleep in Australia and you're in the US. And there's a thread here called Tips and Tricks for Virtual Tabletop Games, and here's the instructions from David of how he has set it up. So he's basically got a setup where he uses a virtual audio driver to drive the sound of Syrinscape into a mixer, which mixes it together with his microphone that he's using for his normal chat and then that mix actually goes down the tube for Google Plus. And that works really well. And I tried out these instructions, and they were actually really understandable. And both of the special little tools that he's using are completely free, which is fantastic. And they both work really, really well. So that's a really, really good solution. So I encourage you to go there. And when you come up with better solution, then also post it on the forum and keep that discussion going. Where we are actually headed ultimately, probably, I reckon, early next year, is to have a slave versions of the player who are just a little block that it's just you just run it, and then the GM's version of the Syrinscape player, whenever she clicks one of those sounds, it just sends a little message up via the web, and the little message comes down. I'm being so technical, and sets off the players' little versions of Syrinscape on their own computers, and that's it. Then the gorgeous quality sound of Syrinscape won't having to be going over the internet and through the tube and getting mangled and things like that. But there's lots and lots of people using Syrinscape for online play at the moment, and those sorts of instructions that I just showed you on the forum are by far the best and completely free version. I also tried using online radio station, which was really interesting and gave me full quality audio, but I haven't yet found a solution which has a delay of less than about 5 seconds. And the way I like to spam the one-shots and set off the Wilhelm screams and things, it got a bit weird. Hitting the Wilhelm scream, ha ha ha! 2, 3, 4, 5, ah! So if someone can find a virtual radio station where they can get the delay down to maybe about 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds, then that'd be really fantastic. So yeah, but jump on the forum and also ask those questions on support@sirenscape.com, and also go to the FAQ. Most of the support requests I have are literally answered on our FAQ page, but that's all right. I love connecting with users, and then we chat about other stuff and what games are cool and all that sort of thing.
Wonderful. So I'm starting to see so many questions come in, so thank you guys. I'm going to give Ben a break and ask a question of Colin. So in the tactical console, Tarek is wondering if there's a way to batch apply status effects to multiple PCs and NPCs.
Unfortunately, there isn't right now. There are a bunch of things we have kind of on a big list of things to do to the tactical console, and one of those is batch applying, conditions. Hey, suddenly you're all blinded. Enjoy that. Or everybody takes, 5 points of damage. To do it properly, there are a few things that we'd really like to do, though. Like a fireball gets cast, and so you need to pick, 6 players or NPCs who get hit, which ones saved and which ones didn't, and so which ones get the right amounts of damage. So doing that sort of thing properly, it's going to be a larger chunk of work than we'd be able to tackle so far. It's definitely something that we'd like to do, because one of the places where Hero Lab does, where it's not super convenient, is just if you have a bunch of characters who you need to reset all their hit points, for example, or a bunch of enemies. Oh, the wizard fireballed 30 skeletons, and you need to apply all that damage at once. So we definitely want to do that, and I'm hoping we'll be able to get to that at some point.
Wonderful, thank you. I have a question for Ben from John about whether or not there's a plan to incorporate a dice roller so that he can set a trigger for a sound with the attack. So, in other words, he rolls an attack die and the sound of the dragon or a sword singing is triggered with that particular roll.
Can I just say first 2 things? These requests and these suggestions, like the one you just made to Colin, are absolutely central to our business, and also I'm sure to you guys. Pretty much the only reason anything but the initial features are in either of these pieces of software is people have asked for them, and the features that get asked for the most and suggested are the ones that get implemented. And so absolutely keep these suggestions coming, totally. And also the other thing, especially going back to that Android question, I can only emphasize from my own experience how incredibly expensive it can be to develop software, and complicated, and especially reaching out to a new platform. So you know, totally be understanding of the Lone Wolf guys, and absolutely keep asking for the Android version and expressing your desires and making the suggestions, because we measure our markets by, you know, and people's requirements by literally what people ask for. So if you want it, ask for it, and then be really, really loving and understanding in the process, which you all almost all are. Right, a dice roller. Yes, I have a dice roller, which I didn't have installed on my Syrinscape. It's just up to 50% now. There's actually a sound set coming out called Accessories, which have one-shots, which are literally called 1d6 and 2d6 and d20, and I'm just building them at the moment, and it's so cool because it actually was a really easy thing to do, because what Syrinscape does is pick a sound at random and play it. And so I've just gone through and recorded me saying, oh, 7, and me going 9, and me going 1. And so, and then you just literally hit the one shot of the little picture of the 2d6, and then it says the result after a little sound of some rolling dice, which I had fun recording. One really funny thing that I discovered is the nature of the bell curve. And I decided, well, I can't just have one recording of me saying 1, because that would be really, really annoying. So it's going to be a pretty rare outcome, obviously, in 2d6. I'm sure you know that. So I'll record 2 of everything, and I have to record, because it's randomly picking from the complete range of possible results. I'll follow the bell curve, so then I can literally just choose a random sound out of the 32 or whatever it is, and then just play that sound, and that'll give us a dice roll. And I discovered there's quite a lot of 6s and 7s and 8s, and I got really, really annoying having to say, you know, the number so many times. So here's just the draft version of the dice roller. There's some other sounds here and things like that. So here we go.
4.
Yay!
11. 3.
There you go. So if say you don't have any dice or whatever, we'll be implementing that just as one of the tabs. So if you want to use that, that's totally fine. Yeah, when I'm playing board games, I tend to just use that instead, just because it's so cool and I love the sound of my own voice. We're going to get some different voice actors to do the sounds, and yeah, it was a really, really simple. It was actually, all the capability was built into Syrinscape already, and someone suggested it, and it got in my head, and so I went and did it. So thank you. Yes, yay.
So if this particular gentleman is looking for, you know, roll a d20 and maybe it's the sound of the sword swinging. So if he wants that, you're saying he should go onto your forums or send a support email and suggest that? Is that the best course for him?
Yeah, totally. And I mean, of course, it's already there. You can just sort of
2.
You know, you can sort of do it already. But yes, absolutely. Probably the forums is a good place, because then we end up with a sort of a permanent record of the suggestion, and then people can jump on board and mash with that suggestion and make some changes. And also people can like that and put a little heart ding on it. So yeah, absolutely. And then once we get the draft version out, then stay engaged and say, that's not what I meant. I wanted it to throw eggs at the screen. You fool.
Wonderful. Okay, so thank you so much for your question, John. Colin, I have a question for you. So for online play, can you cover any of the integration with Hero Lab and virtual tabletops like Fantasy Grounds and Roll20, and maybe even other tools like map tools, etc.?
So we have integration with Fantasy Grounds and then D20 Pro at the moment, I think. Basically, you make your character, and then you can go to the File menu, and there's a Save Custom Output option that lets you save a file that will load into D20 Pro or load into Fantasy Grounds, and then you can use in that you can then use in that virtual tabletop. I believe MapTool has something similar where it's not built into Hero Lab, I don't think, but there's an importer where you can import characters from Hero Lab in some way. And then Roll20 we don't have any support for, unfortunately. But yes, so MapTool, Fantasy Grounds, and then D20 Pro, you can import your characters. You can build your characters in Hero Lab and then import them into the virtual tabletop and have all the stats all just automatically set up for you. Oh, you're still muted, Liz.
Thank you. So thank you for that question, Jesse. I have a question from Amanda for Ben. So if you don't have an option for a computer at the game table, is it possible to export a completed series of sounds into a single MP3 file?
But if you don't have a computer at the table, then you can have a tablet just lying flat on the table, very, very unsubtly. Just subtly. I mean, very flat. Or in fact, your phone. Yes, you could record the output of Syrinscape, but that kind of defeats the entire purpose of the app, which was to get myself away from that. I can't imagine why you'd want to be. I appreciate the suggestion. That's totally fine. And yes, you can capture the output of Syrinscape with any program that can capture the stream from the output of a sound card, of course. But yeah, if you've got a phone or an iPad or an Android phone or anything, you can just have it lying very subtly on the table. I like to have we've made the interface skeuomorphic so that it looks like a cool, fantastical device, and the sci-fi player looks like this fantastic sort of computer interface. And you just have it lying there. Maybe turn the brightness down a little bit, and your tablet will last the 5 or 6 hours that you need to for a game. You can just reach out at any moment, and just with a single touch, you can set off the Brindletown, and then, as we showed earlier, you can just reach out and just flick down to sort of ogres because they've spontaneously gone and attacked the ogres, which PCs never do what you expect them to, and then just touch the ogres and get those going. So yeah, I would really strongly suggest that you don't actually just record the output because you're kind of defeating the whole purpose of the exercise. But yeah, of course you can. And also, I think a really if you want to actually get a sense, everyone, of how this all works and whether it actually is a solution that's good for you, there is a 30-day free trial subscription links. Just search for Syrinscape and 30-day free trial in Google, and you'll find the links on our website. And that'll actually turn you into a complete subscriber, and absolutely everything in the entire app will unlock, and you'll be able to download it onto whatever device you want to, and pretend that you're a subscriber. For those 30 days. A normal subscriber gets permanent ownership of everything we release while they're a subscriber. So for your $6.50 a month, you get about sort of 5 big sound pack of an adventure path plus the monsters that come out in that month, all to be permanently owned. So when you stop being a subscriber for some crazy reason, you still own that stuff. You're not just paying money for nothing. Plus, as a subscriber, everything unlocks in the back catalog. As a trial subscriber, you just actually everything unlocks completely, and when that trial runs out, if you don't go forward with it, then it all just locks again. So with that trial subscription, you can get a full experience of every single option currently available in Syrinscape. So yeah, have a go of it, I recommend, the person who asked the question, and you'll see how the facility that it gives you and the dynamic non-repeating nature, no matter how long you make that MP3 recording, especially if it's only 15 minutes long, and there are some great sound design online of 15 minutes of environments. But the whole point I made this app is because I had a 15-minute MP3 of a town situation, and the players literally stopped me the 4th time this particular sequence of sounds went round, and anyone who's heard me speak has heard me say this before, and they stopped me at the table and they went, ruff, ruff, oh! And the brain picks up those patterns so quickly. So as soon as you start repeating patterns, that the brain will notice and start to attract their attention towards that. And of course, that's the last thing we want our technology to be doing, which is attracting attention to itself. So yeah, there's my passionate answer. No recordings.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. Perfect. So I think that's actually all of the questions that I have from the audience. Thank you so much to everyone that submitted questions, whether it was here through Google Hangouts or over on Google+. If you guys have questions that we didn't answer in this particular workshop, I'm going to give Ben and Colin a chance to say where exactly you can go, but there are places where you can go and engage both of them as well as other people in the 2 respective companies to get the answers that you need. So I'm going to thank everyone again for being a part of this workshop, and a huge thank you to Colin and Ben for taking the time to go through the 2 products and answer some of your questions. I'll make sure to add links for both Hero Lab and Syrinscape in the description of the finished YouTube video after we wrap up. But as a reminder for everyone, Colin, where can people go to learn more about Hero Lab and ask any questions they may have?
You can find out more about Hero Lab at our website at getherolab.com. There's a forums button there, or you can go to our forums at forums.wolflair.com.
And I'm going to do a little plug for my side of things. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, as well as our wonderful YouTube channel. And Ben, how about Syrinscape? Where can people go to learn more and to ask any questions you might have? Or they might.
That's really hard. Okay, so Syrinscape.com is the site. I totally recommend the forums, which is you can see a link on the site, forum.syrinscape.com. Also, yeah, I love hearing from users, and so support@syrinscape.com. And also the Facebook and the Twitter is great as well, absolutely. So yeah, ask questions, make suggestions. I can't emphasize enough how that it's your suggestions that drive the development of these sorts of companies. So yeah, I look forward to hearing you with more curlies.
Fantastic. Again, my name is Liz, and this is Ben and Colin, or the other way around, Ben and Colin. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a great night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye.